Softball has always kind of been everything to me. It's my maypole. It's what everything in my life is sort of centered around it, from how I kind of move through life to influence on others influence on me, meeting my spouse, my best friends that I've met through softball, and just always sort of like this gratitude for the game.
When I was playing, we didn't wear helmets. We were with white balls, 40 feet. The bats were metal, I think, but metal, like maybe made out of the same thing as that tripod. The Nationals were in Omaha at a park. Now they're in Oklahoma City. At one point, I was co-tournament director of that thing, and we hoped to God, if all the volunteers and all the teams that were in it showed up and sat in the stands, we hoped to God there were 200 people watching. And now they've just added a second story, and there's 14,000 people, and it's on live ESPN constantly. So
yeah, I mean, you can speak to that, and Met are doing it and everything too. But I think that the sort of the pioneers in our sport, and again, Cindy can speak to this more, but the OGs kind of going out there and doing talks for little to no money to young coaches that were trying to help the young kids coming up the ranks.
And anytime anything's on TV, a little kid, boy or girl, sees a big person doing it and they want to be that person.
Yeah.
Every little girl now has a big girl they want to be.
Yeah.
Where growing up, we wanted to be guys because there weren't any girls that we knew about to be. So we wanted to be, somebody on the Dodgers or Sandy Koufax or something. And that's a hard shift for young girls to make. So now they don't have to do that. They can be Montana Phelps, or they can be, Maddie Heinlein or somebody, and that's cool. So I think back then, it was the very first time we were in the Olympics, so we were trying to cobble together how to put an Olympic team together. And that was the highest our sport had ever been. It was suddenly on the biggest stage. And now we aren't in the Olympics, and it is still a hugely high profile sport. So that speaks to the level of the sport. Before, we could never have been that without the Olympics. Now we're that without the Olympics. And I think that speaks to it. Now, it's not worldwide that way, but it's certainly nationally that way. And it's starting to be a little more of that globally, that the sport without the Olympic profile is creeping up to a high prominence, which is pretty hard to do. Soccer can do that. Very few sports can do that without the profile of the Olympic Games. And ours is proving that it can do that. And that's pretty amazing. So back in the day, we couldn't do that. And we were only surviving through the profile of the Olympic Games. And that was like suddenly the national stamp of approval that this sport is legit.
And it's unique in Israel because they have sort of a special exception with the military there as well. Like if you're a national team athlete on any sport, then you get special exceptions because most of the young people there have to serve in the military, in the Israeli army. So it's kind of cool to get these special privileges on top of that by being a national team athlete. But just, the few that natural born Israelis that I've had on the team, I have Israeli citizens that are also American citizens. So a little bit different in that regard, but the national team players that are natural born Israelis are unbelievable work ethic, and just, knocking on the hotel room door late at night, asking for drills they can do in their room. Just the contagiousness of playing around high level athletes and watching that in the tournament space of all these other countries. It's fun to watch that, and some of these international girls being around that, and kind of what Cindy said too, like the fans. It's just fun to watch the fans. Being in Spain this past summer and watching, we were fortunate enough to be in the opening night game against the home country, and just the packed house of not a lot of young girls. I mean, some for sure, but just general public that are just so excited about the sport. And it was loud and it was fun. It was a once in a lifetime experience for sure. I think for our players sort of coming through this program, and I know Coach Bristow will agree, like we just want them to get strong life skills and confidence as women and go out and make differences in the world in whatever they choose to do. And if that's coaching, awesome. And, you know, something that I always tell our players is, you know, like I previously mentioned, softball is my maple and I don't want to let go of it. So I'm coaching, but a lot of these girls are afraid to let go of that, afraid to let go of softball when it's time to graduate and move on. And I tell them, like, softball's always there for you. If you want it, if you don't want to coach, fine, but softball will always be here for you. If you want to give private lessons on the side, or you want to go volunteer at your local 8U practice, or you want to coach college, or whatever it might be, softball will always be there for you. It's not going anywhere. And minimally, you can always come watch our game because alumni are always welcome here. But I think for us, our hope is that softball is always a part of their life, but most importantly, it forms who they are as women, and they can go out into the world and sort of make us proud as UCR alums.
Teaching them to be really strong, inner competitive, confident women. They all have high levels of intelligence and strong educational goals, but we sell being badass, competitive women. And I think when you do that and you throw yourself out into the universe from UC Riverside through our softball program, you've got a huge chance of having a successful life and whatever that entails. And that's the best we can do for them, is give them a great start like that. And it latches on so many of them. They love it. They dig it. And we're happy about that.
We're lucky.